Hi everybody, Denny Booberg with Fox 23, and we are back with another edition of our Fridays with Fox, highlighting the people, places, events, and the different things that are helping to push Hattiesburg forward as a community and be the community that we all know and love and want to be a part of. We are here today at the Hattiesburg Cultural Center visiting with the museum director, the second vice president for the Hattiesburg Area Historical Society, Miss Ursula Jones. Miss Jones, hey, thank you for taking some time out to visit with us today.
Welcome to the Historical Society Museum.
Well, we appreciate it. And we were just looking around before we started talking on camera. You guys have a lot of stuff from different areas. So why don't you tell us a little bit about just a wide overview of what all is down here?
Well, we have been collecting memorabilia from the area and mainly from Hattiesburg in the early days of Hattiesburg and continuing on to its development now. We've been collecting that since our foundation in 1970. And all of the people who work here, volunteers, all the things that are here have been donated.
Oh, wow.
We receive things from all over the country. People will call and say, we found such and such, would you like to have it? And they send it.
Oh wow! And you and I were talking before we started rolling about some of the notable people that are also represented down here, like Brian Blair. And what are some of the notable Hattiesburg figures that you have pieces from?
Well, we have things from Edmo Merkel. He was in World War I, got a Distinguished Service Cross for his work, and did survive the war, although he didn't think he would. And we've got a display on him. We've got dresses of Dee Abbott, who served in World War II. We also have Evelyn Gandy, who was the first woman lieutenant governor and should have been governor, but didn't quite get
That's
there.
Another story for another conversation.
Yeah,
right?
That was another conversation. But we have things from her. We have the history about the founding of the city, and we have all sorts of items and displays with people came here for the trees, is what they came here for. And so we've got displays of the eight-wheel wagons that were developed in Laurel, the Lindsay wagons, and later on there was a wagon place here in Hattiesburg that made the eight-wheel wagons too. But until that time, nobody could pull the trees out except by a mule or an oxen. But once they got the wagons that had the big wheels, they wouldn't sink in the mud and they could take a load out. So that helped a lot with the lumbering in the area, and that's where the area started, with people coming in for the trees.
Oh wow. Now, we talked a little bit beforehand here that the building proper also has a history as one of the oldest public libraries.
Yes.
So how did that evolve, and how did it come to pass that you guys came over here?
Well, when the settlers came in here nobody really was here until after Mississippi became a state in 1817. And then settlers began to come in. The Choctaw were here, and they took care of the land, and they also were friendly to the people who came in. They tried to get along. But once the people were in here, and the city started growing after Hardy surveyed for the railroad and the trains were coming, people thought everybody should read. And so they would set up a little library in a store, maybe in a closet or a restroom or somewhere. But finally everybody decided they needed a good library. And there was a bond issue. And they voted and decided to build a nice library. Then there was a fuss. Some people wanted a fancy place on Main Street. Others wanted a place by City Hall where the dog pound was. So they voted again. And for more money, they decided to have the fancy building on Main Street. And this was it. And a man named Barry was the main pusher of it, and they went to all the little clubs and talked everybody into supporting it. And when the library was finally built, now this I didn't tell you a while ago, when the library was finally built, a lot of people wanted to call it the Library because of Mr. Berry, who had really pushed it. But of course, it's the library. Even today, though, you may hear somebody say library, not because they don't know how to pronounce it, but because that's what their parents told them or their grandparents told them. It was the library.
Okay.
So when it opened, it was a wonderful place to come and study.
Oh, that's awesome.
When they moved the library over to Hardy Street, this building became available, and the city of Hattiesburg put the Arts Council and the Historical Society both in this building together.
Oh, that's awesome. So what would you say, I mean, we've talked a little bit about the war memorabilia, and I see several of the civic groups represented in here, such as Junior Auxiliary and whatnot. What would you say is the most interesting piece or aspect of an era that you all have learned about or acquired or so forth?
Oh, that's hard.
Okay.
I'm not sure I can answer that question.
No, that's totally fair, because I'm sure you stumbled
The
across
Lindsay
a lot.
wagons are great, and we actually have a hub of a real Lindsay wagon that was given to us by the Lindsay family. And the old light fixtures are wonderful, and the one over there can be lit up. It's bigger than what they have out there now that they replaced, but the holder for it weighs over 100 pounds, and we don't have anywhere to hang that.
Oh gosh.
The boat back there that was the transportation in the area prior to the railroads is an interesting piece, and we think possibly the only one ever found that was between a keelboat and a bateau. And it was found in the Leaf River, and we call it the Leaf. We tried to restore the half of the structure we found with no help, and we lost the remains of it in Katrina, but we did have a model made prior to Katrina, so we have a model of what that boat looked like.
Wow.
It took a 2-foot draft, so it could go in all these small rivers and creeks in Mississippi. And it also had two bows. You couldn't turn it around in a little small river, so you just moved the rudder to the other end and went back the other way.
Wow.
You could sail or paddle or row or throw ropes on the side and have people or animals pull you, and then you just went back the same way you came without turning the boat around.
Well, you mentioned at one point that people have reached out or things have come to you all from all different corners of life. What's the furthest away that somebody has made contact with you all, and what has that led to?
Well, we had a group from England late last year that finally got here. They'd been trying to get here for 3 years, I think, that wanted to know about the Sullivan-Kilrain fight.
Oh, wow.
And they got stopped by the COVID epidemic. And they finally got to the United States, and the gentleman that wanted to come was extremely interested in the fight, and his 3 friends that were with him, his wife and another couple, were just so grateful that he had finally gotten to do this, because he was driving them all crazy, wanting to know where the fight was and all that sort of stuff. And we did the tour and went out to near where the fight was. Nobody knows the exact spot anymore, but we took them to the markers and everything, and they saw what they wanted to see, and they were really happy.
Oh, that's awesome.
We got an email from someone that was trying to find her Greek relatives.
Oh, wow.
And she asked about she thought that they had come to Hattiesburg and maybe were in restaurant business. And she gave me a name, and I said, well, you've called the right place. I just had lunch at his place. And so I connected them together, and they emailed each other back and forth. But she was trying to find the Greek relatives that came here. We have a piece of history from Hercules that came, an award that Hercules got that came from a man in California. He sent it over. He found it and called us. So we have people all the time calling or writing.
You've literally
emails.
had it from all corners of the world.
Oh, it's coming from everywhere.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Now, this all is public access.
It's public access when we're open.
Okay.
And it's we do a lot of answering of emails and things. We're open on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays when volunteers are available, from 2 until 4 or 4:30, or by appointment. If they call and get a real person on the phone, you can make an appointment. We've had school groups come. We've had scout groups come. We've had all women's groups, men's groups, all sorts of groups have come or have asked for programs or things. So that's available.
So you talked about the programs. What types of programs have you guys done historically? Well, the pun there. Sorry.
Well, we've done programs on the history of Hattiesburg, or what some of the buildings that are still standing, the older ones that are still standing, what they were and how they developed and that sort of thing. But whatever they asked for.
Now, so is the best way to reach you all by phone, or?
The best way is by phone, and don't ask me the number at the moment because I can't tell you, but you can look us up on the internet at HAHSmuseum.com, I think.
Awesome.
.org, I think it's com.com. See, I can't remember those.
Oh, fair enough.
Cut that part out.
Well, Ms. Jones, thank you for carving out some time with us today, and thank you to everybody out there on an online world for tuning in and learning a little bit more about Hattiesburg. And as always, if you've got suggestions, ideas, people that you think we should visit with as a part of this segment, please feel free to drop them in the comments here or direct message us online, and we'll do our best to add them in. But until next time, I'm Denny Boobrick for Fox 23.